Okay, and we're back, ladies and gents, for Game 3 of HypE versus Rawr Yordlez here. Game 2 took a while to close out, but it was a very, very clean game from the side of HypE Esports. Rinks just completely taking over the game from the top lane there on his Teemo pick there. And actually, it looks like there might have potentially an error here. Just give me a quick second. Sorry, technical difficulties. We have the wrong game loaded up here. I've got game 2 still up. And there we go. Now game 3, here we go. So game 3, it's going to be HypE Esports on the blue side here this time. Switching sides, same roster as before. And on the red side, it's going to be Rawr Yordlez with some changes to their roster. They're actually going to be bringing in a substitute, Jin and Tonic here for their top lane. So that top lane performance from Mr. Saruk's definitely sort of causing problems when Rinks just sort of ran over him there. And then in the jungle, it's still going to be Inebafui's mid lane. It's going to be Toika, so somewhat expected. We did see sort of that swap there before. We have seen Toika play mid lane and Winter play support for Rawr Yordlez in the past during the regular season, so that's expected. Duero going to continue being the ADC, and Winter now the support here for Rawr Yordlez. So a bit of a change up. We'll have to see if this is going to be enough for Rawr Yordlez to come back, because they really did look really outmatched here in Game 2 by the side of HypE Esports. And if we hop straight into the picks and bans here, HypE going to ban out the Zac, the Pyke, Volibear, Lux, and Braum. We're seeing a big change in terms of their pick bans, because the shift from Rawr Yordlez's roster, forcing them to have to change things up quite a bit here. As for Yordlez, they ban out almost completely based on Game 2. The Ashe ban coming out against Tommy Peppers here, and partially for Ray as well. Teemo against Rinks, I mean, that's fully to be expected given what he did to them in Game 2 with Teemo. That was disgusting. Leona banned as well against Fluff gets smashed. His solar flares were completely on point here. The Kai'Sa and Kog'Maw are going to round that one up. So they are paying a lot of attention to Ray in that bot lane here, especially in the second round of bans. And in terms of picks here, HypE going with the Maokai, Sejuani, and Senna. And that's actually a really interesting set of picks for them, because Maokai is Rinks' sort of go-to top lane champions, either that or Teemo. So with that Teemo ban, the Maokai looking like it's going to go top here. Sejuani obviously for the jungle, and Senna, we have seen it in support. We have seen ADC, most likely ADC. We have seen Ray just dominate on that Senna ADC in the semi-finals here. And then the Xerath Gangplank pickup. And this is why I like that Maokai first pick so much, because it's actually not going to go top lane. We did see Rinks play Gangplank before in that top lane. It's a very rare sight, but it has been seen before. And because they did that, they did actually manage to bait out Yordlez here into thinking that was going to be a Maokai top and Senna support, hence the ADC bans coming up from Yordlez here. Instead, they are going to have that Maokai Senna bot lane GP for that top lane, and Tommy Peppers, the Xerath, one of his most played champions this split in the summer season. For the side of Rawr Yordlez here, they're going to go with a Jinx, Shen, Trundle, Syndra, and that is not a Kalista, that is actually a Morgana pick for Yordlez here, so a bit of an interesting choice there. And most likely it will be the Jinx, Morgana bot lane, Syndra in the mid lane, Shen and Trundle in the top there. Shen in the top, Trundle in the jungle, pardon me, is most likely what we're going to see. So not as much sort of AoE team fighting from Yordlez. They're going back to sort of a pick composition, sort of protect the Jinx composition as well, with the Stand United, with the Black Shield, and with the Pillar. A lot of safety for Duero, and I think that's actually a really, really good call, because it's much faster composition. It comes online a lot quicker here, and Rawr Yordlez known to play strong in the early game. It also does afford them that late game insurance that they might need, given how long Game 2 ended up running. And for the side of HypE Esports here, their composition a little bit more of a mixed bag, but honestly at this point it's somewhat to be expected. They do like to run that sort of long range poke from Senna from Xerath, and it is very, very effective. Without that hard engage coming out of Yordlez, it could actually work a lot better here coming into game 3, and they've got more than enough peel with the Maokai, with the Sejuani, with the Cannon Barrage as well from Rinks in that top lane, so they're definitely not looking to fight a pitched battle either. So judging from that, I actually kind of favor the HypE Esports composition a little bit, because while Yordle's catch potential is very high, they lack the sort of hard engage you need to force the fight against HypE's composition here. And if we're just talking about long range poke, there's nobody on the side of Yordles who can really match that poke. Sure, you've got that long range Dark Binding. Sure, Zap from Jinx is pretty long range too, but there's not a lot to follow up on that. So they're going to have to rely a lot on that either Scatter the Weak coming across max range Scatter the Weak or max range Dark Binding to probably pick someone off and start the fight. And even then, who are you going to pick? Maokai? Sejuani? Both of them are just so tanky. It's not going to hurt them too much to be engaged upon here. And with that, we are now going to head on to Summoner's Rift. Once again, it is going to be HypE Esports on the blue side here, Rawr on the red side here. And I'm not expecting to see any invades. We'll have to see potentially if we do see anything coming up, but neither of them having a great level 1 here.
Welcome to the Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, it looks like they're just going to be standard here. Rawr not wanting to gamble everything on a level 1, and they're not guaranteed to have the stronger level 1 either. Same with HypE. They have the potential for a strong level 1, but it might set some of their lanes, most notably Xerath, in that mid lane behind quite a bit as well. So they're going to be standard, and in the early game, I actually kind of favor HypE's team here, and it's actually going to be a Morgana mid and Syndra support. Okay, so first it was HypE pulling a last second swap between ADC and mid. Now it's Yordlez pulling a swap between their support and mid laner, and I'm not sure I like it. They do have a lot more kill potential in the bot lane, which is great. It will help a lot against Ray, but I'm not sure it's great because of the Maokai, because of Fluff gets smashed here. Giving sort of double squishies with no black shield, that's going to be risky. And in the mid lane, Morgana Xerath matchup does not favor Morgana. Morgana can get poked out. The minions block Dark Bindings, but do not block the poke, the Q from Xerath there. So it might be a bit of a hard one here for Toika in the mid lane. An interesting choice, and I'm personally not a huge fan of it, but we'll have to see if maybe there was something that about this sort of matchup that I'm not completely understanding here. In that top lane, Shen versus GP, I actually give that to Jhin and Tonic here for Rawr Yordles. GP not the strongest early game, and we did just see some buffs come in for Shen. His passive Key Shield has received a bit of a bonus in terms of how much it shields there, about 20 damage reduction, so over the whole course of the game that can really stack up as well. And in the jungle, Nonstop Brain once again on Sejuani. An interesting thing to note about Nonstop Brain is that he's generally sort of put on duty on just one champion, whether it be Sejuani or Olaf here. And Rawr Yordles, rather than opting to try and discomfort Nonstop Brain on this pick, has decided that he's not that big a threat and just let him play it throughout this series. And while I understand their mindset, I'm not 100% sure that it is sort of the right decision. Unfortunately, they don't get the full sort of best of 5 to experiment and try out different things because they did forfeit that first game. So rather than risk anything in game 3 here, they think they've identified the problems, and they're just going to try and fix that instead. And Fuiz did get spotted out, it looks like, or no, he spotted out the ward, here with the Scryer's Bloom. Knows there's a ward there, but he's just going to keep on taking this for now. He wants to get the scuttle, secures that topside scuttle here, and Fuiz continuing to maintain that sort of jungle camp power farming advantage he had from game 1. Looking for a gank into the mid lane. The pillar comes down, does enable the root to land, and this might be death for Tommy Peppers. He flashes over the wall, and they're not going to follow him, so he will be perfectly fine for now. But that is the flash down, and Xerath, very immobile mid laner there. And with that matchup against Morgana, we're not seeing the perma-push Morgana that we sometimes do see. Toika very wisely controlling that mid lane here. So he's instead letting Tommy Peppers push out, and because Tommy Peppers is pushed out, he's going to become very gankable here. But Troika has to be careful. They're missing quite a bit of CS here, and that's not good. While it is good to set up a gank, you need to make sure you don't lose too much in the process. And losing all that CS is going to hurt Morgana, especially because Morgana does not scale well into the late game here. It does sort of spike in the mid game. And in the bot side, Duero and Winter once again seeming to enjoy a bit of priority in the bot lane. That being said, they are actually down CS right now, surprisingly. And so Ray just letting the wave push in, freezing in front of his turret in a favorable position for himself here. And interestingly, Winter has opted for the Relic Shield here rather than the Spell Thieves Edge. Spell Thieves did just get a bit of a boost, a bit of a buff, pardon me, this week with the new patch 10.15 here. Does give a bit more mana regeneration early and will give a bit more AP when it's fully stacked and upgraded here. So Winter choosing health for now. I'm not sure if that's necessarily beneficial, especially in the early when it looks like they're the ones bullying out. But we'll have to see, because it would save him from an all-in, and that might come in handy later. And it's looking like we're going to get a repeat of Game 2's early game here. Both teams happy to just sort of lane it out, send their junglers to keep on farming. And once again, I Never Freeze. This time starting up the Dragon a little bit earlier, a bit more confident with the Trundle here. He's going to start this one up, and it is going to be Cloud Drake for Rawr Yordlez. So cooldown reduction galore for now. And you can see how not really effective the poke coming down from Winter is right now onto Fluff gets smashed. The Maokai just so tanky, and he's able to just sustain up every time he gets brought low there. And meanwhile, Ray not having any problems really CSing down in this bot side. He's going to be more than happy. We'll miss a couple of minions here and there, but for the most part, we'll be just fine picking these up here. And we did see the first back coming out in this bot lane. Duero going back to base is going to pick up the BF sword for himself to start things up here. So we're going to have a nice bit of attack damage boost. Ray opting to finally go back, so he's going to be able to match the buys as well. Most likely we'll be able to pick up a little bit more than just the BF sword, because he does go back with about 10 CS more. It does work up to be roughly, I think, about 200 and a bit gold here if he's about 10 CS up. Another thing to note is that for the side of HypE Esports, they're not running the no TP composition this time. They do have a teleport on Rings and on Ray here, so they will be able to match the macro pressure a little bit better from the side of Rawr Yordlez. And Ray going the Glacial Augment Center. So this is not the Grasp of the Undying Senna, which has become very, very popular here in the bot lane. It is going to be Glacial Augment, so we'll be able to continue just applying slows, do more damage. And I actually like that a bit more in a siege composition, because should they attempt to engage on you, you are able to slow them down, apply a bit more CC, and just buy time to disengage. Scatter the coming across. Ray going to take a lot of damage. Did just get back to lane, and he's already down to about half health here, so has to be careful, because while Fluff gets smashed has inherent healing in his kit, Ray does not. And well, Ray does in one of his abilities in that he heals his ally, heals himself. So I guess he does have sustain, so we can afford to take a bit of poke. We did see the healing come through. He will be just fine for now. Did opt for that Tear of the Goddess, so looking for that mana immune build as well. Will not be as strong in the immediate future against the side of Rawr Yordlez, so most likely we'll just look to sort of passively farm up once again here. So far, the power farming of both junglers continues, and the longer it goes, it looks like the more beneficial it is for I Never Freeze here, because he's able to farm up faster topside. Jhin and Tonic and Rings trading now. Jhin and Tonic enjoying the benefit up to this point, but now struggling a little bit. We do see right up the arcane coming out from Tommy Peppers. I'm not sure what he was looking for, but doesn't look like he'll be able to get anyone at all. I think he was maybe looking for I Never Freeze, but I Never Freeze is full health. Not quite sure what happened with that. And now we might see a gank topside. Taunt comes down, but Rinks takes the orange and he's K, but he will also flash to get out of range of that pillar that did not want to risk going down to an early gank. And we are starting to see that hit break-even point for Rinks in that top lane. He's starting to be able to trade evenly, but he was actually dominating the CS count here. The flash coming in from Fluff gets smashed, but a beautiful, absolutely beautiful scatter weave disengages for now. Duero now caught in there, will go down, and the Stand United from Jin and Tonic actually puts him in a bad position. He might go down here as well. Will be able to get under turret, and that is going to be the Stand United baited out from Jin and Tonic there, as well as First Blood going into the bot lane. It will go to non-stop Brain here on that Sejuani. And he might have been down in the jungle, but now he's going to be up in gold as he does manage to pick that First Blood up. Stuns get traded into the mid lane from both of the mid laners here. Artillery coming out, Scatter the Weak coming out once again from Winter. Is he going to use the ultimate? Yes, he is. He unleashes power onto Fluff, gets smashed. They do manage to get the kill, and so far it is just I Never Freeze and Non-Stop Brain trading here back and forth, but now it's a 1v2. Winter did back out. I Never Freeze able to chomp down. He finds Non-Stop Brain. They are going to be able to pick Ray up as well. That's a double kill for I Never Freeze on the Trundle. That Desecrated Soil nerf is not stopping him. Topside, Jin and Tonic actually finding the solo kill after he teleports into the lane as well. And Rawr suddenly firing back with 4 kills here across the map. And this is what we expected from Rawr Yordlez here. A more aggressive laning phase, where they look to sort of force advantages in these fights. Just when things were looking dire for them, Rawr Yordlez shows sparks of life here. They are still down gold though. Just the superior laning right now, especially from that top lane of Rinks, is coming in huge for them, and Rinks in the playoffs has been an absolute monster. He's been good in the regular season as well, but we've seen him mostly on Maokai in the regular season. Now that they're putting him on carries, Rinks has been grabbing huge lane advantages for himself. Mid lane as well. Tommy Peppers on this Xerath has just been abusing Toika here. He did decently well on the Ashe last game, but putting him back on the sort of long-range poke champion seems to be what he's most comfortable with. Now they're starting up Drake here for the side of HypE Esports. They're looking for the Mountain Drake. They do have to be careful though. Teleport coming in from Rinks here, and they're going to just brute force this one down. I Never Freeze backing out. They don't want to do this. They don't have Stand United. They don't have Teleport. Jin and Tonic not here, and that is going to be second Drake to be picked up this time by HypE Esports. 1 Drake apiece. It is going to be Mountain Drake and an Infernal map here, which is going to be huge for both teams. They're going to be fighting over this Infernal, one of the most powerful Drakes, especially when you can stack it. So when it is the Soul Dragon here, it's absolutely massive. Not the best soul, but just the best stacker. And with the infinite skilling from Senna in this bot lane, while Jinx does skill into a hyper carry, if it goes super late, it is going to be Senna who actually ends up out damaging barrels coming down onto I Never Freeze. But Toika and Jin and Tonic both there to back him up. Tommy Peppers was back in base, and Non-Stop Brain again not anywhere near the objective, so that is going to be Herald going the way of Rawr Yordlez here. Right up the arcane comes out. He's looking for the steal, but will not be able to find it. He's just going to get a little bit of damage tickling I Never Freeze there, but they're going to be safe for now, and that is going to be Herald acquired by Yordlez here. And despite the, I think, a higher kill count at this point, if we ignore the fact that Rinks basically got all the kills in game 2 here, the kills are a bit more spread out. It is Rawr Yordlez picking up more kills right now, and at this point in the game, we were actually a bit further ahead, despite the higher kill count right now, just because Rinks was looking to take down that top turret at that point already, but this game, he's not able to threaten as much into Jin and Tonic's Shen. He is still finding CS leads, but he's not really dominating, and in terms of levels, he's actually down a little bit right now. Non-Stop Brain has to be careful. He might get caught out here. Zap does land, but the ultimate from Senna coming out to give some heals, put down some damage as well for now. And that will stop the collapse coming in. And this Syndra pick for Winter, not necessarily having the biggest impact on the game thus far. I'm a little bit concerned because Syndra in the bot lane is usually used as a kill lane. If Syndra can't get kills, can't zone, it's not that effective. And you can see that Ray has been able to farm perfectly fine, almost even here with Duero. So that's not necessarily good news for Winter. He will start to fall off, and he doesn't enjoy the benefits of that Syndra mid, where he does get a lot more experience, a lot more gold as well. So outside of that bot lane, outside of finding squishies, he's not going to be anywhere near as effective as he'd be as a mid laner. So that choice to put Morgana mid, I'm not sure it's working out, because HypE also starting to fall behind significantly in farm. Yes, HypE has constantly put Tommy Peppers in a position to be ganked, but iNeverFuise has not been able to find his way into that mid lane very effectively to this point. So if you're not going to dominate that mid lane, then I'm not sure it's the right call here. Not to mention, Rawr's style has always been, as an org, to have really strong lanes, and that was how Yordlez have played through most of their lanes as well, playing through Duero's strength in the mid lane, giving them priority on pretty much any buffs here or any objectives throughout most of the game. And now that they don't have that, I think that's a huge problem that they're starting to see come through for themselves here. HypE finding themselves a small 1,600 gold lead at 15 minutes, not hugely significant. What is more significant is that GP is scaling, Senna is scaling, both these champions are getting stronger and stronger, while Morgana is starting to fall off, as is Syndra. Shelly being dropped into the mid lane. They are going to be able to get this mid lane turret. That's the first turret down. It's going in favor of Rawr. Yordlez here. Now they're looking for iNeverFuise, a good pillar. Going to stop the engage coming out from Nonstop Brain. He already used his Q, the gap closer there, to charge in, so will not be able to get past the pillar. And iNeverFuise getting out scot-free after getting that first turret here. Well played from him. And now Ray has to be careful. He's going to take a lot of damage. Super Mega Death Rocket comes across. That's going to be enough to secure the kill for Duero. But at what cost? Duero flashing out will still get tagged up by Nature's Grasp there. Stand United comes across, will be there, but Gin and Tonic's almost dead already. He's going to drag Fluff, get smashed off to the side, will get taken down by Tommy Peppers. Meanwhile, it was Nonstop Brain finding and taking down Duero, but Winter able to escape, the sole survivor of that tragedy in the bot lane there. And questionable use of that Stand United. Yes, I understand Gin and Tonic wanted to put the shield down to try and save his teammate, but unfortunately he ends up delivering a second kill instead. Topside, we see the teleport coming down from HypE, and that means zero pressure down here. It means Inferno gonna go the way of HypE Esports here. They're gonna be more than happy to pick up a damage multiplier here for themselves. And one thing we kind of didn't touch on in the sort of picks and bans there is the lack of tanks. There is a tank in the shape of Gin and Tonic here, but tanks are actually important when you see a Senna come up for the ADC, because that means that they won't have that tank buster built in. Senna doing a lot of damage, but not at a very high, fast pace. So Jenny doesn't build crit, just builds burst here, builds a bit tankier. So without a tank though, that burst damage is hyper efficient. And because the only real tank they have is going to be Shen, everybody else could quickly go down to Ray here. A good scatter of the week, going to stop Ray from engaging there. He's going to get taken down kind of low. And we saw how effective the burst is from Winter and Duero when they do get it off. I'm surprised we're not seeing more of it here. Even if Unleash Power does not kill Ray, it often will put him in range of that Super Mega Death Rocket's execute instead. So I am looking at Yordlez to try and pick up a lot more kills here in the bot lane. Topside, Rings finally able to take down that top lane turret once again. They sent HypE to deal with him, and it's not effective because Black Shield just not able to reduce the damage, and that's exactly what happens. Rings using the flash to trade over. He knew he was dead to rights. Will be able to at least get that one. And bot side, we do see a trade coming in. Ray finding Duero there, able to kill him. He has to burn the flash though. Will be able to get out. Gonna get stunned up by the Scatter of the Week once again too. And Winter just playing very, very passively right now. Not going in, not looking for the kill, not looking to just 100-0 Ray down. Probably could have looked for the Unleashed Power along with the Ignite. Mid lane Tommy Peppers was completely unattended as well, while the top and bot lane were having action. And that is going to be the mid lane outer turret going down right up the Arcane as well to try and preserve that top lane turret. Bot side, we do finally see Ray going down. Winter unleashing that power. That was what we've been expecting for most of the laning phase, and he does finally do it. Does burst down Ray as well. And that puts him 2-0-3, and that's some much needed gold here for Winter. Winter, because he's playing support, does need to try and find as much gold as he can get here. And for him, the easiest way is to get kills, is to get assists when they have that much burst potential. And so despite being up in kills, Rawr Yordlez is down in gold, down in turrets, and down in objectives as well. They're basically down in terms of the macro pacing of the game. And if that's the case, the question is, what can they do? That's a good start. They get themselves another turret in that top side there. Ray and Fluff getting there a little too late to be able to save that one for now. Mid lane, the stun comes across, but again, oranges means he'll be okay. They find Jin and Tonic. He was just top of a ward, taking a lot of burst damage. He might be the tank, but he's still not tanky enough. Nature's Grasp coming across. Can they find enough damage for now? Scatter the Weak instantly, half health. Ray there. Are they going to look for the burst? No. Unleashed power available. They will be able to take Jin and Tonic down, but it's at the expense of Rings. And now Nonstop Brain has arrived. We are seeing the Glacial Prison come out, the stun as well onto Duero. Can they take him down? They finally do, but at what cost? They've lost everybody but Brain here, and I Never Freeze is the ultimate tank killer on the Trundle. He's going to keep on chasing Winter there as well. The Unleashed Power is now off cooldown, is available. A beautiful pillar to pincer him there. The Unleashed Power comes out a little too late. I Never Freeze going to be able to pick that one up instead, but that is still an ace coming out for Rawr Yordlez there. And I was questioning before that fight started up, what can Rawr Yordlez do to get back in the game? Well, that is exactly what they needed to do. Start a fight that they can win. And things weren't looking good. It did look like Jin and Tonic got caught out, but he is a tank still. Yes, he ended up going down faster than he should have because he is building that Tiamat first, and that's not straight tank stats, but he lasted long enough, and that's what's important. The rest of his team was able to reinforce him, was able to take down Ray and Tommy Peppers as well, and I believe Tommy Peppers actually ended up falling in the bot side here, so he wasn't actually in the rest of that fight. Toika was just able to find the 1v1 there. And that's kind of huge, especially for Toika and Winter. The two of them have had very limited success here in their respective lanes. So being able to finally handle Tommy is huge for Toika. And for Winter, he picks himself up another bunch of assists as well. Has the Ludens and the Sork boots completed at 22 minutes. That's not considered very good for a mid lane Syndra, but for support Syndra, that is a decent pickup, a decent clip here in terms of item builds. And now we do see Inferno coming up, a fight breaking up here. It's I Never Freeze going on to onto Fluff, gets smashed here. Super Mega Death Rocket coming out really, really early. There's no execute damage, and I Never Freeze just tanking this up for days. Fluff, on the other hand, doing the same. He finally goes down, but he's zoned out the entirety of Rawr Yordlez for quite a while here. Duero taking a lot of damage, is getting forced out here, is still able to stay alive, pump out the damage. Instead, it's going to be Winter going down. I Never Freeze 7-0-2. The man's a monster, but can he survive 4 people? No, he can't. And it is going to be Rinks shutting him down. Inferno going the way of HypE Esports. And what a turn here. It looked like Rawr Yordlez should have won that fight. They are the stronger team right now in the last couple of fights, but I Never Freeze just wasn't able to shred down people quite fast enough. Fluff gets smashed, even though he's a support tank, and we've spoken a bit about how support tanks usually aren't as tanky as they need to be at the right phases of the game. Fluff gets smashed, just constantly proccing his passive in the midst of that melee, extended his health so much there, and was able to just zone out the entirety of the backline, leaving I Never Freeze and Jin and Tonic alone in the middle of 4. He was the first casualty of the fight, but by that point in time, the fight was pretty much done. Yordlez was all low on health. They did have to look to disengage, and they end up losing 4 there in that fight. A huge turnaround here for the side of HypE Esports, and it just shows you how back and forth this game is right now. And Rinks with the steal was able to pistol shot that scuttle there. Great for him. Jin and Tonic on the bot side being forced back a little bit. Has to be careful in this 2v1, but a 2v1 here means numbers advantage on other parts of the map. Right now, Baron is up, but it is heavily warded. Jin and Tonic gonna get rooted up under turret. Fluff gets smashed, tanking this one here. They're looking to try and get the kill, and Fluff gets smashed. He's so tanky with just the Knight's Vow as well as the Aegis of the Legion. It's pretty disgusting there, actually, from Fluff gets smashed as he tanks that up for days, and they do manage to get the kill onto Jin and Tonic. The amount of time, though, meant that HypE is going to be able to come down to this bot side, is able to push this out. But HypE right now not contributing much in a lot of these fights, has started to fall off quite a bit here at the 25-minute mark. And what sort of exacerbated matters is he did... HypE did go for that Merc Treads here, so does not even have the penetration from Sork Boots. So a lot of the utility is mostly just landing Dark Bindings as well as clearing up minions as fast as they possibly can on this Morgana here. But that's not what Yordlez needs to win this game here. They're putting a lot of eggs right now into the Duero basket. I Never Freeze did go down that last fight, but he's still 7-1-2 and is an absolute monster. You can see how hard it is for HypE to take him down. They need to throw basically 4 people to take him down. If not, he can just throw a pillar up and run away, even in an unfavorable situation here. And for the side of HypE Esports, Rinks is starting to skill up. Ray is starting to really put down damage here. Can we see how many souls he has? Has quite a few souls here already for himself. And again, HypE on these side lanes not doing well against the ADs. But now Winter coming in from behind. They have Jin and Tonic as well. Can Ray find anything here? No, he can't. The cannon barrage coming down, but HypE goes golden, dodges the bulk of that. And that turret is left with 20 health. Just barely any health whatsoever, but it does remain standing, and that's what is important. They do instead get that bot lane turret, and this means HypE instantly rotating to that top side. There's no vision around Baron. It did get cleared out for Yordlez here. So I don't think they know that Baron is being taken, and HypE continuing their focus there. The teleport is coming down. They've got teleports coming in from both sides. A pincer here from HypE and Jin and Tonic, but they have to survive this. Baron already down. Non-stop Rain able to pick that one up right away. And now Jin and Tonic going to get hit by the Glacial Prison. It's going to stop that engage dead in its tracks. Top side, it is going to be Fluff and HypE just trading back and forth. Fluff right now not acting like a support at all. He's a full-on tank, able to survive things out. The taunt comes across, does not find anybody, but Non-Stop Brain might have sealed his own death warrant by turning around in that fight. He does go down, so they get Baron and lose only 1 for it. Right off the Arcane coming out is going to stop the backs for now, but it looks like HypE was the one who did manage to pick up the blue buff in that scrum there. Right off the Arcane, not able to pick that one up for now. And HypE able to pick themselves up. The Baron is going to be huge. For the last about 10 minutes or so since the mid game has rolled around, neither team has looked like they're solidly in control of the game here. HypE has maintained a bit of a gold lead here, but it's not been showing. They've not been the aggressive team looking for these sort of bigger team fights. They've also not started up a siege situation. Instead, they've sort of let Yordlez pull them around the map in terms of macro play, just dragging people to the side lanes. And granted, HypE has seen very limited success, but still able to find some sort of farm. Tommy Pepper's forced to flash as the pillar does come out. The Super Mega Death Rocket as well. And he has to be careful. Winter looking at the side, but Beautiful Nature's Grasp catches for the Duero, able to free fire. They trade the mid laner for jungler here as Toika goes down along with Nonstop Brain. Cannon Barrage comes down. The initial burst did a ton to Duero, and the right of the Arcane finally able to pick up a kill for Tommy Peppers here. That means it's a 3-4-4 right now. I know if we still trying to start this one up. He knows Nonstop Brain is dead, but the question is it worth it? They will be able to pick themselves up an Inferno Drake, but they're losing a top lane inhibitor for it. They might even lose a turret as well. Ray just pushing in, Jin and Tonic just desperately trying to stop this one for now, but he can't do it. That's one Nexus turret down, the top side just shoved in, and Rinks and Ray get out after a daring push on that top side, unanswered here by Rawr Yordlez. And things are not looking good for Yordlez here. The rotation to Dragon was a surprise decision. I was actually really surprised they opted to do that when the base was basically being pushed and when they had a numbers disadvantage they could potentially get collapsed on. And now they are going to have to face an issue where they're trying to defend an open top lane where their inhibitor's down while the side of HypE Esports does have burn buff. They can easily take this bot side turret here. It was already down to extremely low health, but it actually looks like Baron has worn off here from the side of HypE Esports, so they don't actually manage to get too much here on the Baron buff. Well, I say they didn't get too much, but they did manage to get that top lane inhibitor and the Nexus turret to boot as well, so that is a nice pickup for them. With this sort of reset from both sides, we can take a moment to look at where both teams are. Ring's already 3 completed items, the Infinity Edge, Essence Reaver, and Trinity Force. He's going to be able to put out a ton of damage with those barrels, with those crits, with that poke. You look across to Jin and Tonic, and he's significantly down right now. He's been Flame Horizon here, 237 to 135 farm. He's down about, what is that, 5,000 gold difference in the top lane alone. That's absolutely massive. Only sitting on the Sunfire and Tiamat right here, components of the Abyssal Mask, and a fight might be breaking out. Ray gets dove into the back line. I know Fui's just charging in. He got hit by the taunt. Fluff gets smashed. Not long for the world either. And right of the Arcane coming out. Sand United on to Winter. But Winter has to be careful. He should have gone back to base. Now the Sand United is gone. He does ultimately get sniped out here. He does die for no reason there. Rinks now the next target. He's taking a lot of damage. Can he survive? The last rocket comes out. Does not manage to take him down. It's Super Mega Death Rocket already used. Nonstop Brain trying to hold this turret, but it's so hard against that fed Jinx here. Now Neverfui's going to continue pushing in. He is going to pound away on this turret. Where is HypE Esports? They are finally coming back out to base and they're looking for the engage. They find Duero and the artillery finally comes across. It does work. Neverfui's now looking for Rings. Can he find it? Toika has to be careful. He's taking a lot of damages on the back end there. Nonstop Raid slowed down, will not be able to continue the damage for now. We do see the Senna ultimate come across. Does give a bit of a heal, but the Dawning Shadow not really putting that much damage down. And that's going to be a stop button pushed for now on Rawr Yordlez push. But they did manage to get themselves a very nice inner turret there. The quality of these fights sort of have gone down. We're seeing a lot of overstays. Winter overstayed. Should have just left the range off the right of the Arcane. Does cost him his life. Duero, same thing. Overstays, gets burst down. And now it is HypE Esports able to find that mid lane inner turret to answer against Rawr Yordlez here. And we were looking at gold discrepancies in the top lane. It's huge. But in the jungle, Neverfui is also up about 2,000 gold. In the mid lane, Tommy Peppers up about 3,000 as well. So you're seeing kind of polarizing top lanes, top sides of the map here. The rune does come out, but it's going to be on to Winter. He's way back, is going to be safe for now. Right up the Arcane, not going to be used to look for a fight here. Instead, it's Neverfui's forcing a fight. He's found Ray once again here. Ray just getting caught out time and time again. So they trade ADC for jungle, and I'm not sure that's worth it for the side of Rawr Yordlez, because that was their one super fed member of their team. Jin and Tonic is back, as is Duero, and Duero with the Jinx right now is their final hope, that skilling champion. There's no one to really dive the backline here. As long as he can dodge the barrels, as long as he can dodge the poke coming up from Tommy Peppers, he should be fine for now. But it is going to be Rawr Yordlez locked inside their base. They cannot step out, and it reflects right now in their vision. They barely have any vision outside their base. Just that one lonely control ward that has been there for a long time does have the distinguished order of ward longevity and health, because it has been sitting there for so very long. And that means the Baron that has spawned could very well go the way of HypE Esports, or they could just turn and burn for the Infernal Drake instead. That would give them the Infernal Soul here. And it looks like that is what they're going to go for. Rawr Yordlez recognizing that is going to go down. The top lane inhibitor already about to spawn, so no more super minions threatening their base here. And Ring's going to get caught up, but he takes the orange. He's going to be K. The stun comes across, but Winter might have overstepped. He's taking a lot of damage here. Getting shredded. Will go golden, but it won't be enough. Gin and Tonic dead already. He's supposed to be a tank, but he's not even as tanky as the support right now. As Fluff gets smashed, able to survive. Duero gets doped down in the backline. I Never Flee's trying to put out the damage, but it won't not be enough. The Black Shoot comes out too late, and he will go down. Nobody on the side of HypE is dead. All of them are up. That's a clean ace, and HypE looks to try and just end this one. They're going to leave Non-Stop Brain alone to pick up the Infernal Drake while the rest of them rush in. And the key difference is this time they did not manage to find Ray on the backlines. Ray has unfortunately been the target. He's 6, 7, and 11. Is the death leader for his team here. But unfortunately, this fight they just couldn't find him, and Fluff gets smashed. Actually out tanks both Gin and Tonic as well as Winter there. It was and Toika, pardon me, there as well. It was just absolutely massive on his part. And Maokai's support, you're starting to see why it's becoming so popular that he gets tanky incredibly quickly here in these fights. And Rings as well. I mean, in these sustained fights, because Ray a lot of times does get taken down so quickly, it is actually Rings who's been pumping out the bulk of the damage. He's 7, 3, and 9, sitting on a 600 gold bounty, and you can't underestimate the crit damage. They don't manage to end the game. They do, however, manage to get 2 inhibitors down, and they're going to rotate their way immediately here to the Baron buff. And for Rawr Yordlez, this is their do or die moment. They have to fight this. They cannot afford burned up super minions, but they don't have the vision. And the Baron is already ticked down. It's already down to under 1,000 health. Gets dropped to about 100 health, but they do manage to secure it just barely there. And it is going to be Duero getting caught out. The engage from Fluff gets smashed as well. The artillery from Tommy Peppers sees them all going down. The only damage threat is going to be Winter. And I Never Freeze for now. Unleashed Power comes across. Can it find Rings? No, it can't. Just short of the damage there. And now Ray able to pick up a double kill in the midst of that fight. This should be game here for the side of HypE Esports. Rings opting to go back to buy. He has no teleport, so it's going to be Tommy Peppers and Non-Stop Brain here looking to close in. But the surrender vote coming out. Rawr Yordlez, after dominating the bulk of the season, 7 weeks in first place here, they finally fall at the finals to the side of HypE Esports. HypE Esports coming in huge in the finals here to be able to pick this one up. Well played from them. And you look across the board here, it's almost perfect play. Rings going 7, 3, and 14. Non-Stop Brain able actually to pick up quite a few kills for himself. 6, 4, and 13 as well. Tommy Pepper 6, 1, and 13. Ray 8, 7, and 14. He died a lot, but he did put out a lot of damage. And Fluff gets smashed 0, 6, and 20. Perfect support play here. HypE Esports just turning on the heat in the late game. And to be fair to Rawr Yordlez, it's not like it was completely one-sided. The game ended 27 to 21. I Never Freeze going 12, 4, and 4. Duero only looking 3, 8, and 9, but that doesn't show you how much damage and how much influence he had in the team fight here, which was absolutely massive. Duero was their win condition, and he was putting out damage. Unfortunately, just could not stay alive. Normally, the counter to a Jinx is throw an assassin. Somebody who can die at the back line and kill them, but HypE played it differently. They gave Tommy Peppers a champion which could not be stopped there. With the long range, the Xerath Qs and W's just shredding the back line, not to mention his ultimate as well, right up the arcane, just meant that Duero, if he gets CC'd, it's instantly burst by Tommy Peppers from about a mile away there. Great play here from the side of Rawr, on the side of HypE Esports here. And I mean, it's just questionable. Like, it's unfortunate that they had to change up the roster at the last second as well, because Gin and Tonic, or Toika and Winter just didn't seem to be able to come online. I wasn't a fan of putting Winter mid lane. He didn't manage to accomplish much, but he at least went even. Toika on the Morgana mid just struggled to really do anything at all. Was down in farm, did not contribute a ton in fights. Then Winter was 7 on the Syndra as well. Like, just not
aggressive enough, I think. I think Winter is a great enchanter protective sort of support for Duero, but you put him on something aggressive like the Syndra, well, he needs to find kills. He needs to apply pressure. If he doesn't do that, then it's just not very effective. And we do actually have a clip here provided by Epic Gamer or Ray here, and it is a slowed down clip of the huge team fight that sort of changed it, the dragon fight, where we did see Rawr Yordlez go ahead at this point, and it starts out with Fluff gets smashed, looking like he got kinda caught out there a little bit, but look at how he's playing this one out. He's so tanky, down to half health. I Never Freeze goes onto him, and they get zoned out. Tommy Peppers come in, Super Mega Death Rocket coming out way too early here. And I Never Freeze, who's supposed to be a tank buster with that subjugate, just could not take down Fluff, and Fluff goes in deep right here. You can see he's tanking things up, does finally go down, but by the time he goes down, look at how low the health bars are. Gin and Tonic almost did. Tommy Peppers right up the arcane, doing so much work in the fights. Torka did as well. Duero gets extremely low. Does, I think, actually manage to survive. A great flash from him. And Winter, where was Winter in the entire fight? He just was not, unfortunately, there to do any damage. Will finally go down to Ray here. And that just leaves I Never Freeze in the midst of 4. He will end up getting taken down in this fight here, because there's nothing he can really do in the midst of all those people, and that's unfortunately kind of the way the fight broke out here. You can see for Rawr Yordlez, this was sort of emblematic of the entire game after this as well, with just not able to do anything. Troika and Winter not contributing a lot. I Never Freeze was trying his darnest to do whatever he could, and he survived for so long, but not enough damage. And when you compare that, a Trundle to a Maokai, the Maokai there is built as a tank. You saw how long Fluff gets smashed, survived, and that's something that a lot of times we do miss, is the impact of supports. And actually it is the side of HypE here who would like me to also mention, just they would like a call out to Fluff for all the work he does for the team there, which often gets unnoticed because he is the support, and supports do oftentimes not get noticed. So huge call out to Fluff, just surviving and tanking up damage, and also to Tommy Peppers on the Xerath as well. You couldn't see him in the fight, but you could see the impact he had on the fight throughout that, constantly just shredding the backline from safety, while Rings, Non-Stop Brain, and Ray just front line a lot of that fight. I mean, normally you don't want to see the center front line the fight. Yeah, he built a bit of tanky stats, but nevertheless, it kind of worked out in that fight, so we won't really question it too much. And if Fluff gets smashed, did tank an incredible amount of damage. Third highest in the team, because Rings just barely beat him out. And Non-Stop Brain as well ended up tanking 48,000 in that game 3, was absolutely massive. And with that, the series is done. We actually do see a clean sweep, pardon me, here from HypE Esports as they take out the giants that were Rawr Yordlez to take the first ever Silver Division champions position here in the Coalition Leagues. Congratulations to them, and they definitely deserved it. And that's the thing about playoffs. The regular season doesn't matter. HypE might have struggled in the regular season, but they came in huge for the playoffs here. Undefeated. I don't believe they dropped a single game at all, actually, throughout the playoffs against the top 2 teams of their division here. So absolutely massive congratulations to HypE Esports here, and they've secured themselves a bunch of world points as well. And to Rawr Yordlez, despite losing, they looked absolutely dominant. And to be fair to them, the finals here, it was not necessarily the best configuration, the best team they could have fielded. So we'll have to see if they come back next season, whether they will be able to continue their dominance in the regular season and look to try and claw back that crown here from HypE Esports. And with that, Silver Division Summer Split is completed. Thank you, ladies and gents, for tuning in and, you know, really supporting the league throughout the split here. It's been great fun. Thanks for watching it. We still do have one more finals here for the Coalition League, so this is not the final stream. We still have the Demacia division here on Monday, and from what I've been told, it promises to potentially be the most exciting here of the finals. SFAD versus DOV Chaos here, and unlike the other divisions,
there is an actual returning champion, and that is SF80, previously known as Rawr Rampage, in the spring split. They're sitting in the Demacian division, so DOV Chaos looking to try and secure themselves their first championship, while it is going to be SF80 looking to do a repeat and defend their throne there. So do come in, join me on Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern, for the grand finals here of the Demacia division, the last series we have for Coalition before we take a break for the fall split. So once again, thank you all for tuning in, and I hope to see you all on Monday.